Hello, everybody. This is Pete from PA Labs, and today I'm starting an entirely new series of videos, and I've actually created an entire playlist for these videos, and it's going to be the topic is the Beginner's Corner, PureBasic, the Beginner's Corner. I got a comment on a video yesterday from Victor, who said he was brand new and liked the videos, but I need to put more out there for people who are just beginning. So, to answer his request, I am creating this whole series. So, I want to start with a disclaimer. I am not the begin all end all pure basic guru of the world. That would be Fred, and that would be a whole bunch of people that are out on the Pure Basic forum, which I strongly urge all of you to familiarize yourself with. And there's some brains there, boy. Let me tell you, I've been around programming for about 45 years or so. Have written, I've forgotten probably more language than I can remember of languages that I have written over the years. I fell in love with Pure Basic about 8 years ago and haven't turned back to any other language since. Um, I know quite a bit. At no point will I say I'm a guru. I'm probably better than average, and I'm very kind of stuck in my ways. Old dogs and new tricks. They really that adage is actually quite true. So without further ado, this is your Pure Basic IDE. IDE means Integrated Development Interface. IDE, yeah, editor. There you go. So it's pretty standard fare. This has some nuances to it. If you come out, I believe it's under Edit. We can come out here. No, not under Edit. Maybe yes. Here it is. I knew it was someplace odd. Your You can get to your preferences out here. Now, this is where you really need to start and look at your IDE. Do you want more than one instance of the IDE or not? Many of these are personal questions to answer. I want to run through some of the things that I've done to it because I think it's important. And the examples you're going to see are using many of my maneuvers. So it has its own list of shortcut keys. Now, one of my changes in here, and I hope they come to the bottom. No, of course not. That would just not be right. Okay, so I have redone the Pure Basic comment code. Uh, Here it is. Paste comment, insert comment, control plus. Okay. Uh, Toggle current toggling, maybe. Can't find it in here. Doggone it. It's when you change code to comments and toggle it back and forth to comments and stuff. I personally have found to use the control and then the question mark key, and then that would comment, and then alt same key, the slash forward slash or uh, question mark key as the removal of comments. That's about all I've done there. Themes, completely up to you what you prefer. Toolbar, I haven't made any modifications to. Let's see. Uh, so, do you want the close button on each tab? Myself, I prefer that. You can change a lot of these. Um, some of the other ones, I've got a rather large font in here because, well, I've got old eyes. Let's see, you can mess with some of the coloring. Here's the biggest place that I've changed. Okay, code folding. They give you the basic stuff, which kind of irritates me. I like to be able to fold my code up. So I've gone through the language, and every place that they have a let's say a compiler if, and it's got a compiler end if. Okay, so if it's got an if and an end if, I want to put it in folding to where I can collapse that doggone thing. If you got a for each or for each, then it needs a next. Okay, I want to be able to collapse those. If you got a macro and an end macro, a procedure, end procedure. So I've come in here and created as many of those as I can think of in here so where I can fold my code up even in selects and stuff like that. You'll see that in my code, and you may be wondering, well, why can't I collapse my if block here? Why can't I collapse this or that? Well, here's where you change it. You come in here, you type in a new name there, and you hit add. You type in its closing bracket and hit add. Now you can collapse it, okay? So if you want, I will put this on I will take my preferences, and you can save yours, load mine, see which one you like, and then tweak yours to get it to where you want, okay? So indentations. Well, I don't do too much to indentations. I think they've done a good job. I like the smaller indentation of 2 versus 4. Some languages choose 3. Personal preference. Autocomplete. Now, I have a lot of extra stuff put on my autocomplete. When I start typing autocomplete, first off, I want it to start giving me examples with the very first key I type. But I also want it to include brackets and functions and everything you could possibly think of that it's going to give me. It's going to give me stuff from the Windows API codes and keys and stuff like that. Whether you want that volume, personal preference, enjoy what you like. My thought is the more the merrier. So pretty much I've got just about everything selected. Issues. Issues is tied to this tab over here on the right-hand side. This is the Issues tab, and you can build your own system of what kinds of comments you want to put in the code that get marked to where and gets listed here that you can jump back to easily. I do use this myself. I use the to-dos. I don't really use the fix me very much. Sometimes I do, but that's rare. Session history, highly recommended, especially for new people, because, well, I'll be honest with you, I can make this editor crash. A matter of fact, I probably have it crash a couple, 3 times a day sometimes, depending on what I'm doing. So make sure you have the session history turned on. Record your changes every 5 minutes. Let's see, just you want, I'm probably going to bump that up. Let's put you in here to 4096 because that's one of my favorite numbers. So keep all history. I keep 30 days. Oops. I guess I hit enter, didn't I? All right, we'll open it back up. So that's an important thing because if something goes wrong or you make a change, you can actually go back right here in the IDE and go retrieve what your code looked like. And I'll show you how to do that. That's pretty important. If you're a fanatical Git user, GIT, which is a source code thing, then you don't really need the session history stuff unless you want. You're probably saving everything to Git, and this is a waste of your time. But for a newbie, somebody who's fresh to this language, this is a alternate method. And yeah, I came out of the mainframe days, and we didn't have well, we had source control, but it was at the mainframe level, and it was backed up on whatever, and trying to retrieve one of your backups was next to impossible. So I've always been in the habit of making, if I'm going to make a big change to code, I'll copy it off to the side and save a what I always put in as a CYA, cover my butt, cover your whatever, and copy that I can go back to. But I've never been a big person to use the repositories and stuff. We use Git pretty heavily at work, but I never was into it that much. Okay, compilers. Well, you can list how many different compilers. If you want to be able to compile your application in multiple versions, or in, like I had it set up here, to use version 620, 64-bit and 86-bit. So if I built a program, I could actually build two versions of it, one in 64, one in 86, and have them go to different places for giving out to people and passing them around. This is where you program multiple compilers, and I can show you how to use that later. So the debugger, I don't know that I've changed much in here. This is pretty standard fare. Environment, that's what that E is, IDE environment. Your individual settings, I don't think I touched any of this. I personally do not use the form editor in the IDE here. It's adequate. It's not terrible by any means. There's just better ones out there. The tools panel. Here's a biggie. The tools panel configuration is the configuration of this guy over here on the right. Okay. And I believe you can even move it to the left. You can put it where you like it. And so you have available panels in right here on the left, and then you can add and remove to here. And I strongly recommend to put the help system over there, the help tool into here. You can use the project. I use the project panel all the time. That's how I navigate my apps. So that's a really good one. A procedure browser, I've never used it too much. Color picker, I use all the time. Character table is nice for looking up ASCII codes and stuff like that. And then you have color. You have the issues. That goes back to the issues setting over here. That's where that ties in. If you want the forms panel, you can put it over there. I don't use it, but I have it over there. I should probably thin that out of there. So let's go ahead and move that out of there. Variable viewer. Well, I'm not sure I've ever used that. We'll have to explore that. Okay, so, and then you have options. Do you want to select a font? Ooh, I should do that. What's the default font? Because I always have to blow it up to where I can read the doggone thing. Oh, well, it's out here at console as 20. Not sure why that doesn't. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, so color font in the background, I just made it match the screen. That's all. And then import and export the settings. I'm going to go ahead and export mine, and I will put that out onto the website for people if they want to change what they're using. They want to play with the one I'm using. And then, of course, you hit apply and hit OK, or you can just hit OK and it'll apply. It takes it an inordinate amount of time to actually save and close. Hello, there we go. Okay, so this will probably be the end of the first video. I don't want to have these be gigantic in length, but we're going to start first with some tips and tricks on using the IDE and how do you use the IDE. That's an important thing to know how to do. It makes your life so much easier. So anyhow, welcome to the new Basic Corner, and Thanks for your time, folks.